The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to tonight's webinar. I am your host. I'm Dr. Gwilliam Evan, the clinical director for PayDC. Also on this call, I have the head of our trainers, which is Christy. A lot of you know her, and Dave Klein, one of our founders, and our COO is on here with us. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to take a little deeper dive into the patient portal in PayDC. Because what we've found is some of our clients don't understand how much they can leverage there and how that can really make a difference in how well the software functions for them and streamlining things and making things work better. So the purpose of tonight's little gathering here is to show you how to maximize that and get the most out of it. And so I'm excited to be here with you. Feel free to submit your questions that you have as we go along. We'll see how it goes. I'm happy to try to help you get the most out of PayDC and make it work as effectively as possible for you. So I'm here on the home screen. I'm logged into my demo account. I call it Spinal Health Chiropractic. And I want you to see where to get to the patient portal and make sure you understand how you can use it most effectively. What you do to get into the portal from any device is to open up the help menu when you're logged in and click on patient portal. And then it will bring up the web page for the portal, and you need to log in with the same credentials you used to log into to PayDC when you log into your account. And so this brings us to an administrative screen in the portal where patients never see this screen, but the user who's logged in has the ability to choose any of the patients in your patient list. And so these are all fake, of course. And there are three different actions you can take, and then you move into that patient. So the first thing, and perhaps the most useful and important thing of the portal, is editing patient demographics. This is for new patients. So really with the portal, you can get into new patients and you can get into the subjective findings for existing patients for returning visits or the first visit. So let's look at the initial encounter first. Probably should have picked someone ahead of time. I'm going to pick a random one here. We'll do Bob Barker, all right? So we're going to look at the demographics for Bob Barker. Now his is probably already set up, but a new patient, the fields would all be blank, right? And so Bob Barker is at home, and he called in and he said, I want to come in as a new patient in your clinic. And you get his email address from him. And once you have his email address, he gets a welcome with a temporary password, and he's able to log in from home, and he's taken to the screen you see now. So Bob is a new patient who's never been in before. He goes to this screen from home, and he's able to get in here and update this information and say, you know, over the phone, I told him my birthday was 1955, but I forgot to mention it's actually in March. And he says, oh, and they thought I was single, but I'm actually married. And he goes down here and he says, oh, they don't have my address. So let's put in an address, you know. So Bob does all this stuff before he even shows up at the office. And the more he does, the more, the less you have to do, I guess. And so we like it when Bob does all this work from home. Now, when he called in and I set up his account, we selected non-accident. There are 6 different pre-loaded questionnaires in PayDC for the initial history. The auto-accident questionnaire is a bit more complicated than the non-accident questionnaire. The work-related accident is more complicated because it asks questions about where the accident was, what happened. The auto-accident, in fact, we'll go ahead and switch to this one. Okay, the non-accident's just, you know, why are you coming in, what's your problem, and a little bit of your history. Auto-accident gets a little heavier. So you can put in, you know, put in a phone number. Okay, so we've got his phone number in here. So Bob does all this stuff from home. Let's say that he can't do it from home. Maybe Bob shows up at the office and you say, hey, did you do that, you know, intake? And he goes, oh, I forgot, or my internet was down, or whatever it was. So that's fine. You just log in as an administrator like we just did. We just logged in as an admin. We picked him from the list. We did edit patient demographics, and we hand him a tablet or a computer that we have set up. And that brings him into this, and he can do it right there in the reception area. And this is all going to communicate directly with the history in the initial encounter for Bob. So it's a one-stop shop, so to speak. So Bob enters his employment data here, and then we save this. And it starts to ask him about his accident. So this is the accident questionnaire. This is where it differs. If we had said non-accident or work-related, this would be a different questionnaire here. So Bob gets in here and says, well, the accident actually happened, you know, not in 2019, We'll say it was, I don't know, a week ago or something. We'll just put it in May. Here we go. So several days ago. And Bob puts in here, hit from behind by a maniac driver or whatever it was. So this is Bob typing all this. This isn't even you in your office yet. What are the symptoms? And Bob says, my neck hurts a lot. Oops. Okay, so Bob types in all this fun stuff and hits save. And now it takes him into the auto accident questionnaire. And it starts to ask all these details. And this questionnaire was designed with the input from PI attorneys and whatnot. So Bob can put in all these details, and I'm going to skip over them for the sake of time, just to show you guys some other stuff. But the more he answers, the better and more complete my narrative is going to be. And if he doesn't answer these questions, and I have to go in later and ask him, I can. But I want to encourage the patients to do all this for me. I want them to answer as much as possible, whether it's at their home or in the reception area when they arrive. So now he gets to start to put in, the details of his condition. And this is the same as the regular questionnaire again. So we get in here and Bob puts in a whole bunch of his, whatever's going on with him. He's irritable and he's fatigued and he's got bowel problems. And Bob is a very heavy smoker. We'll give him 45 packs a day. And as he chases it down with, only 35 drinks every day. So, Bob fills out all this fun stuff. Because he's a smoker, he has asthma. So we'll give him that. And we hit save. And now it asks about his spouse. Now, you may remember that he was originally single, but we changed him to married. So if he was left as single, this screen wouldn't even appear and it wouldn't bother, Bob wouldn't have to do anything here. But now that there's a spouse, it has some required information here. You got to put at least a name and a birth date. And so if I finish this, we'll just put in Felicia Barker. I don't know if that's, I'm making that up. Got a birth date. She's very young. She was born today. So he's married under, younger than him. So the spouse employment information, I'll just throw in the basic minimum there for the required. And then emergency contact, again, required information. So again, the more you do here, I'm just going to make up a name real quick. And once he gets to the end, it says, thanks a whole bunch. Go into the doctor now, and it'll be ready to go. So he hits finish, and he's done. And you can use this login, which I'll show you in a minute, for your existing patients. Okay. So this is how an existing patient, if you're not using the patient portal, this is how your existing patients would access it. Before I show this to you, though, let's go back in here and take a look at Bob Barker and see what we've done in his account, in his history. So here's Bob, and we jump into his initial exam. And from here, we could have put in his history ourselves. What he's done from home is these two green buttons. So we jump in there, and there's all the tabs for the auto accident history, and we can go through here and fill in all these blanks. But since he did it from home, I just have to hit import from questionnaires, and it brings in all those details. Hit from behind by maniac driver, my neck hurts a lot, and I can ask him, what do you mean by your neck? And I could add more details here if I want. Here's all the auto accident stuff, and he checked on some of these, and I can re-interview him and add more details. I can choose to make sure they're all in there. I can remove ones I don't feel are relevant. Okay, and all of this I can preview if I want to see how it's coming. I can see, the descriptions and the things he added, and there's the summary of the accident and the rest of the history we haven't even reviewed yet. So I can go through the other bits of information and see what he marked, and he skipped over some of these, so I can ask him about those and fill in these blanks. And I can get in here and update the family health history. And so I can throw in some stuff about his mom having diabetes and whatnot. So that's how you use the patient portal for new patients. It allows you to put in all that information, get it set up, and you have very little to do but review a little bit. And then once you have this done in the first visit, in the subsequent visits, that narrative, the same thing actually we saw here, will appear in this box instead of all these tabs on the next visit. So you just look at the old history and it looks good. You can add stuff to it and update it, but this is what he put in the portal, so it saved you all kinds of time and effort in adding those details yourself. Some of what he put in the portal will also input in the review of systems. So like fatigue was something he checked off, and change in BMs. So I can ask them about those, add some free text to describe it, but it gets things started, and I can mark off the negative ones that I want. Here's a little billing tip for you. You need to have at least 2 review of systems documented in order to qualify for a 99203 for your new patients, a level 3 new patient exam. So my advice to you is to make sure you've marked something in at least 2 of these at a minimum that are clinically relevant. And that will kind of give you a little head start on making sure that you meet the criteria for that level 3 E&M code. If you're watching this after January 1st of 2021, that may not be true anymore because the E&M code requirements are changing. But for now, a couple of review systems will help establish that code was appropriate. Okay, so those are the things the patient can do for their initial exam from the portal, either from home or in the office, or you can choose to interview them here if you don't want to use the portal, which just takes a little more time. Okay, so that's how we would handle the portal for an existing patient. I'm sorry, for a new patient. Let's say that we have a patient coming back for a subsequent encounter. In fact, let's do this. Let's sign off on Bob and do that subsequent encounter. Let me sign this note so it's done, and that way I can. His date of service is a long time ago, but that's okay. Do we have enough? I don't know. Let's just see if I can sign the note. Nope. So the software reminds me, as hopefully you know, that you have to put in sufficient units to bill for a time-based code, and I'm going to have to do a modifier. Okay. So let me sign this note, and then I can do a subsequent visit for Bob. So I've got this visit done. Oops, save and sign. Sorry, clicked off of that. Yeah, so, okay, I'm being sloppy here. I was just hoping that it was already filled out. Let me add a couple things here. Actually, we'll just undo the exam. We'll throw in some stuff here. Let me just make some quick findings here. Exam, save and sign. Let's see if it'll let me go now. Oh. Okay, so bear with me where I quickly clean this up a little bit. Should have prepared Bob ahead of time. And so now we have a note completed for the initial visit. So we're going to go ahead and do, let's say Bob finally shows up almost a year later for his second visit, and we want to use the portal. So when Bob arrives at the clinic, you can set up a device in your clinic, type in this URL, type in your password on some tablet that you set out there for patients to use. So you log in, and you get past this if you want, and you can go to the subjective check-in, and the patient can check himself in, or I can check in on his behalf as an administrator. I can kind of shortcut into Bob Barker's account. So this is how I would sneak in as the subsequent visit, and I could hand him the tablet. And he would see here all these instructions that tell him what to do. And then it shows where his complaints were and what his concerns were. Maybe he decides that he's a little bit better. It took him 10 months, but now he went from a 6 to a 5. But you know what? It's more often, and this has all changed. So let's make these things worse. Like, let's just go and make it worse all around. So Bob is answering all these questions. He says, yep, I've got this again, and it's all the time. And so Bob answers, and he goes, wait a minute, I don't even know what these mean. So you just scroll down to the bottom, and there's a key down here to show Bob what the definitions are of this frequency and qualitative sections here, so he knows how to answer them properly. And so once Bob answers all those symptoms, you can type in a note to you to talk about something new that you might want to check out. But we'll just save. And now he's done. He only had one complaint. If he had another complaint, it would take us to the next one, and he would enter the details of his next complaint. He'd update the subjective. This takes him back to the login screen, so he can set the tablet down or go sit in a seat and wait for his turn to come back or whatever it is. And so this is where the next patient will log themselves in using the last 4 digits of their social and the year of birth. Now, it doesn't have to be their actual social security number. It just has to be entered into that field in the patient account when you set it up. So it can be any 4 digits they give you or that you want to use for them that are entered as their social security number, but it doesn't have to be the real one. And then your birth, and that enables the next patient to log in and update their subjective findings. Now, some of our clients say, you know what, I don't trust patients to update their subjective findings. They're a bunch of liars. They open it up and they skip to the bottom and sign it. And they don't bother being accurate and truthful. So if you don't want to use the portal that way, that's fine. You can click here at the beginning of the day. And now when everyone checks in, it won't give them their subjective. It'll just allow them to check in, which marks them as arrived in the on the scheduler. And so they'll be marked as arrived, and you don't have to have them check in. This will mark them as arrived and allow them to view their last subjective visit and update the information from that encounter. Okay, so those are the two options with daily encounters with the patient portal. What that does for us is when we go back into Bob Barker's account here and we go to add the second note to his care, which is, one visit every year. You can see the second note is now here. We go to open up the subjective, and his complaint has already been updated and changed. I don't have to change anything because I know he did it. And the way I know is because there's a little hyperlink down here. And the hyperlink says he checked in a few moments ago. If I click on it, it summarizes on the right what happened, what it read as last time. And on the left, it shows what it reads as this time. So I can make a comparison. I can just scan through this and ask him about it and say, hey, what's going on with this? You said it increased and so on. So I can use this comparison to ask him some questions. And maybe I decide that Bob is a liar because, patients are liars. So we get in there and we say, yeah, it's really a 6, Bob. You weren't telling the truth, and this is intermittent. So I can change and override what the patient says if I wish. Okay, and that's how the portal is used on a returning visit for a regular patient, so they can update their own subjective findings. Okay. So once that's in place, it's going to save my provider time. The provider doesn't have to go in and interview the patient and enter all this. They can just open that up real quick, read over it, and know what's going on. Or they can see that there's a hyperlink here and understand that these are the current findings here and ask questions if necessary, and then work their way through the rest of the note. So it'll save your providers a few precious seconds at every visit, and train your patients to be good at updating their own findings so that the provider can skip down here and add their objective findings and get the note completed even quicker by updating these findings. So, yep, slight improvement, nothing else has changed. Go to the plan, and that note can take 30 to 60 seconds to complete because 5 or 10 seconds was saved by the patient putting in their own subjective. Okay, so those are the ways that you can use the portal to help you with initial encounters as well as subsequent encounters at those daily visits, so the patients can update that information and get those notes done in a more timely fashion, delegate more of the work over to the patients instead of being the responsibility of the office staff or the provider. So let's see here. There is a new feature of the patient portal I'd like to show you as well. But I see a question came in. Give me a second. I can't pull that out so I can see it. Give me a second here. So here's a question, and maybe Christy can chime in on this. They said, if you make up a Social Security number and it's fake, does it create issues with insurance claims potentially?
That's something that wouldn't impact any kind of insurance claim processing because the Social Security number isn't included on an insurance claim form.
So if you're having those kinds of issues, maybe give us a call, but it shouldn't be tied. Social Security numbers are no longer tied to healthcare as far as I'm aware. So hopefully that's a thing of the past if it was an issue. I want to show you now another use for the patient portal. Unless there's other questions, feel free to toss them in if you have any other questions. Or actually, Dave, if you would like to chime in or cover anything about the initial visits or subsequent visits that I did not. Anything else you want to point out?
No, I think you did a good job, Evan. I think that it's just key for the patient to remember, you can either have the patient fill it out at home, you can have them fill it out in the office using a tablet, and they can also use their phone. So it's very flexible and allows them to use many different options for completing that. So that's something that you can do because not everybody's going to fill it out at home online. So
perfect. So the one other function I wanted to show you guys tonight is a new way we're using the patient portal, and that's a new service that we recently launched. It's the online scheduler. So we've enabled it in this demo account, and if you look at your account, you won't see this line here in the settings, but I'm going to open it up, and there's a bunch of things you can set up. So we have now an online scheduler that enables the patients to access the portal from home, and from home they're able to request an appointment. And so this is really exciting, and we're really happy to share this. Here is how it would work if you were to set this up. I haven't even set this one up for this account, so we could type in some text here that describes our clinic, and then we're given a link. So you could put this on your web page or in an email to patients, and they could use this link to get into the scheduler and request an appointment with you. You can also copy this information and use a button that you can embed on your website. So that'll make a nice button rather than just the hyperlink here. So when you go to that link, it'll take you to a page like this, and you see it just says, welcome to online scheduling. Existing patients can log in and schedule appointments online. New patients still need to call in to schedule an appointment and then get the intake questionnaire. We're working on that in phase 2. We hope to have the ability for new patients to, from your website, without even talking to you, go ahead and request an appointment and then have access to the patient portal so they can create all their stuff and import their information. Shoot, this is embarrassing. I think I already forgot my password. It was a temporary one, right? So I should be able to paste it in. I think I already have it there. Let's try it. Thank goodness, it worked. Okay, so this is what happens. Patients would be able to log in, and they would get a temporary password to start with. And from there, they work through these steps to set up their appointment, okay? So the first step is the office location. And this particular one, I only have one office location enabled, but your clinic can have multiple office locations. So they pick the one they want, and then they hit next. And I only have one appointment type available right now for online scheduling. It's acupuncture. So we choose the acupuncture appointment and hit next. And then you can choose which provider, if you have multiple providers in your office, and I only have one available for this particular appointment type, so it's John Hancock. And I hit next. And then they're able to look at the calendar and pick a time. Maybe they want to come in on Friday. It looks like my acupuncture doesn't have appointments. I should have set that up. I have no appointments available for acupuncture. So I need to go back into my scheduler back here. We'll do a little troubleshooting together. And I need to enable certain office hours for those appointments. But better yet, actually, let's do this. Let's create some other appointment types and make them available. So through the settings here, let me go back here. I can choose which branches have online scheduling available. I'll do all 3 of my branches. I can add descriptions for each one if I want to, make them more specific, add the details for each one. And then I can designate which appointment types are available for each branch. So we'll just do the suburban office here, and let's add massage, and looks like it only has these other services available. I can add descriptions that will appear when the patients go to schedule. I can choose the providers here. I can add those in, add other providers to be available to schedule with, add descriptions for each provider if I want. I can limit the number of appointments patients can make per day so they don't get too crazy and schedule 10 times. And I can also enable email and text reminders for the patient as well as the office. So if I enable these, the office can get a notification when someone schedules online by email, and you can designate a phone number in your settings to receive a text message that lets you know someone's scheduled online. Once someone does schedule online, we are able to view that in the scheduler. Let me double check though. Where did my portal go? I want to get some time slots here, so maybe I need to go back here in my settings and make sure that I have some. So let's see here. If we go to my appointment types, and I'm going to make some, yep, so I got acupuncture in there, and I go to notifications and zones, make sure that they have that available. So once I can make an appointment, actually, maybe I just need to choose a different branch. Let's do that. Because this is my main branch right here. And I'm going to enable this, and we're going to start over here, and I can show you here. Suburban office should have all the appointment types. Nope. Okay. So if I can schedule here, let me make sure I have these settings correct. Notifications, I don't care about that. Let me go back into the portal again. Yeah, see, I think I don't have any hours available for this one. Well, so if I had hours available, I would confirm, and the next screen would say, hey, you've done it, you've scheduled, and the patient would get an email and or a text reminder that says, hey, you've confirmed, we have an appointment. And then once we go into the scheduler to take a look at it, it will show us who scheduled those appointments. So we're able to go in here, and if this was an online appointment, at the bottom, a new feature you may have noticed added a few weeks ago is at the bottom of that window, it shows who scheduled it. The doctor scheduled this appointment. If it was online, it would have the patient's name there. And it would alert you that the patient had scheduled that. So the portal gives you access to all that. It gets that set up for you so the patients can schedule themselves. In the near future, we're hoping to be able to allow other features in there. We're going to enhance that over the coming months as we got the baseline started. And so we'd love for, if you were interested in that, contact us. We can talk about getting it set up in your account. It is an extra, if you already have text reminders, which is $20 a month, it's an extra 15. It makes it 35 total for text reminders plus the online scheduler. And we kept the price nice and low for you so that you can use that feature. And we hope you like that. Does anyone have any questions about using the portal for online scheduling? Or does any of my colleagues have any comments they want to make about that and how that works? Because that
No,
is,
the only thing
go
I'll
ahead.
say, Evan, that we encourage you to give it a try. We do have additional features that we're coming out with the online scheduling that'll make it easier. This was just our first iteration of the online scheduler. It's very inexpensive. If you have text message reminders, it's an extra $15. You get it, and it works really well. So give it a try, and it's just going to keep on getting better and better.
Yeah, we're really excited about this new feature. It's been something we've been talking about for a while, and so it's great to have it launched there. We want to let you guys know that if you have any colleagues or friends that you think would benefit from PayDC, we still have our program in place where if you send them over and they become a new client, we'll give you $1,000. We'll credit your account or we'll send you a check. $1,000 for someone who gets the full system. $500 if they get just documentation only without the billing. So feel free to send them over. We'd love to work with your colleagues and friends and treat them as well as we treat you and keep them happy. So that's all I've got for you tonight. Is there anything else anyone wants to add? All right, then thanks for joining us this evening. Stay tuned for next week. I forget what the topic is, but it'll be posted on the Facebook page. So stay tuned in the Facebook forum and you'll watch. We'll keep throwing tips there and more webinars to help you guys out and teach you how to best use the software. Thanks for being with us.